We want to thank everybody for joining us today for RECON 2016, How to Bring Retail Home. We'll get started here in about 1 minute. Thanks. All right. Well, we want to thank everybody this morning for RECON 2016, How to Bring Retail Home. This is part of the Retail Coach webinar series. So we'll get started here. For today, put together a short agenda slide here. I want to talk really about the 2016 retail outlook, what we're expecting for the rest of 2016 and even into 2017. I want to talk today about retailers' expansion plans. You've probably heard it, on the news or seen retail popping out of the ground, but retailers are expanding rapidly right now. And then we want to talk about ICSC RECON 2016, which we know is coming up in a little over a month here. May 22nd through the 25th in Las Vegas. We want to talk about goals, preparation, marketing materials, strategy, and also targeting. So we'll start with the 2016 retail outlook, the trends, the effects, and the growth that we're seeing. So what I want to talk to you about today is a number of different things, but some of the trends that we're seeing right now is, one of them is retail revitalization. And we're expecting that to continue as these national and regional brands seek those untapped opportunities and also entrepreneurism. So we're expecting retail revitalization to continue to be a focus going forward in 2016 and also 2017. And we're seeing very little speculative retail development as well. And then what is continuing to be a trend is those thriving communities are those that have a healthy mix of independents and those local regional retailers, but also those national brands as well. One of the things that is continuing to be a trend is the fact that retail just continues to evolve, and we're trying to stay caught up. The retail industry's evolution has really accelerated over the last 10 years, especially with online sales. We're expecting online sales to continue to grow at an annual rate of about 10%, and that's from 2012 to 2017. I've seen some numbers that even show that a little bit higher. But by 2017, so by next year, we're expecting the internet, the web, to account for about 10% of retail sales. And that's absolutely huge. And I hate to admit it, but I buy things online. I try to shop at local and regional and also national retailers as much as possible. But with the convenience of iPads, the convenience of the internet, we're expecting that to continue as we head into 2016, 2017. Some of the other trends we're expecting and what we're already seeing, one of them is smaller footprints. You're seeing this with a number of different retailers. I'll use Hobby Lobby as a good example. Instead of Hobby Lobby, sticking to a 100,000 square foot footprint, we're seeing Hobby Lobbies move into communities of about 50,000 square feet. So they're going in and they're putting in stores that are about half the size of what they typically do. That bodes well for some of the smaller, some of the medium-sized communities that these stores are shrinking. You're seeing that with the merger of Office Depot, Office Max, Staples. You're seeing Office Depot come in and shrink the size of their stores, where they're doing 3,000 to 4,000 square foot stores when in the past they would have been double or triple that. So, what this does is it gives retailers more opportunity to locate in previously unrealistic areas. So we're starting to see some retailers move back into downtown. We're working a project in the Pacific Northwest right now, and we've got a pet store that's come in. So it's Petco has come in, and they're taking over a space in a downtown area. So, another trend that we're seeing is store closures. You're hearing a lot about retailers that are closing stores. It was announced a couple of weeks ago that Sports Authority, for example, filed for bankruptcy. So Sports Authority has announced the closing of a number of stores. So you hate to see somebody leave, but what that does also is open up for some additional retailers coming in to maybe take over those stores. There's really two factors, or two basic factors, that are impacting the retailer demand and retailer expansion at the moment. Number one is the economy. We're really seeing strong activity on both ends of the economic spectrum. So we're seeing those discount retailers expand. Your Dollar Generals, your Walmarts, your Dollar Trees, those types of retailers we're seeing expand rapidly. Also, your Ross, your Marshalls, those mid-price retailers are expanding rapidly as well. But then we're also seeing those luxury retailers expanding. So, it's interesting to see. That's really one of the first factors impacting retailer demand and expansion is the economy. But then also what we talked about earlier is the encroachment of e-commerce being that second factor that's impacting retail demand. It's important. We've got to pay attention to both of these because this is going to be critical as we move forward. And I didn't introduce myself at the beginning of this presentation, so I'll do it now. But my name's Aaron Farmer. I know I've met most of you that are on this webinar with us, but I'm the Senior Vice President for the Retail Coach. I've been with the Retail Coach going on 9 years. And we're excited about where we're headed as a company, but excited about helping communities, especially get ready for ICSC. We know the International Council of Shopping Centers convention that's happening in May is a very important part of any community's retail recruitment strategy. So just want to introduce myself, Aaron Farmer, and we've got several other team members that are sitting here with me who might chime in as needed. So thanks again for joining us. But continuing to look at some of the trends that we're seeing, we're tracking about 3,000 national retail and restaurant chains. And what's interesting is about 40% of all new retail growth is from restaurants. And you probably noticed that. I made the drive from Austin, Texas to Dallas last week, and you could just see restaurants coming up out of the ground, popping up everywhere. Whether they were taking an existing space or they were doing a new build. It's very interesting to see these new restaurants popping up. We're seeing a lot of the fast casual, so your Chipotle type restaurants, especially with the millennial age group. We're really starting to see those catch on. But what we're seeing is some tenant mixes at local shopping centers are becoming increasingly food-based. So you're seeing restaurants, come in and take over shopping centers or take over a space in the shopping center. And then we're also seeing grocery players as well, which are becoming more of a staple at power centers and malls. I want to talk to you a little bit about what retailers we're expecting to expand, what retail growth we're seeing in 2016. We're really starting to see and you probably noticed it in your community, but really starting to see the fitness, health, and spa concepts really expand. As consumers have more money with the better economy, people are spending more money on fitness memberships, health memberships, spa memberships, those sort of things. We're continuing to see drugstores expand rapidly. Walgreens and CVS continue to lead that. Walgreens recently purchased recently merged or is in the process of merging with Rite Aid. So we're curious to see how that's going to impact things. We're seeing thrift stores expand rapidly as well. Goodwill is expanding in a number of communities. We're also seeing the grocery format expand, especially that smaller format. The discount retailers, the ethnic, the organic, the upscale. A good example is Aldi, which is spelled ALDI. They're expanding rapidly. They're a smaller concept. We've got them coming into a couple of communities doing about a 22,000 square foot prototype that they're using. So it's interesting to see that. Fast food is continuing to grow. I've mentioned this already, but fast casual dining, so your Chipotles, your Zoe's Kitchens, those types of retailers are expanding rapidly. the automotive, the discounters, the dollar stores, the off-price apparel. And when we say off-price apparel, we're talking about like TJX Corporation, so TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Ross, and then also the pet stores and the sporting goods. And even though I announced that Sports Authority was closing, there are a lot of sporting goods stores that are expanding rapidly. Some of those that are in the South and the Southeast that are expanding rapidly, Academy Sports and Outdoors. We're seeing them come in and really take over a lot of these communities. I won't spend much time on retailer or retail contraction, but some of those retailers that we're seeing close stores, shrink their footprints, those sort of things, are really bookstores. Unfortunately, bookstores are becoming a thing of the past. With the creation of Kindles and being able to read them on your iPad, bookstores are no longer needed as much. Video stores is another. I remember as a kid every Friday night going to Blockbuster to rent video games and to rent VHS tapes. And those things are becoming a thing in the past. For the most part, the do-it-yourself home stores, so your hardware type stores, are also starting to shrink somewhat. With the exception of Ace Hardware. Ace Hardware is one that is expanding rapidly in a number of these communities. The mid-price grocery is another that we're not seeing as much expansion from right now, depending on what part of the country you're in. Office supplies are becoming a thing where you can mostly buy online and go pick up in a smaller footprint of a store. We talked about the merger between Office Depot, Office Max, and others there. And then stationery and gift shops, that would be your types like Hallmark stores and those sort of things. Once again, unfortunately, they're becoming a thing of the past. And same thing with shipping and postal stores. Once again, being able to do some of those things online, being able to purchase postage online, you're starting to see those contract as well. So really what we want to talk about today, after talking about the tips and the trends of what we're seeing in the industry, is we really want to talk about ICSC RECON 2016. What we've done is we put together 14 tips on how to bring retail home. Now, I want to caution you, and I want to mention to you that, and I had a conversation about this with the community this morning. Do not go into ICSC RECON thinking you are going to make a deal. Go into ICSC RECON looking at this as a networking opportunity, looking at this as if, hey, we're going to meet a retailer here. We're going to follow up with them, and then maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, we have them in our community. You might get lucky and make a deal out there. I will tell you, it's very rare. I've seen that happen maybe once or twice in our time attending. But ICSC is an exciting time. Be prepared to walk a lot. Be prepared to be tired at the end of the day, because this is not one of those events where you go out there to necessarily just have fun and relax. You're going out there to get in front of retailers and really pound the pavement. So I want to share with you real quick. Got a map on the screen of what the Las Vegas Convention Center looks like. And if you've ever been to the Las Vegas Convention Center, this is an absolutely huge facility. You can see it's broken into really 4 or 5 different halls here. We'll flip to this next slide real quick. The Central Hall and South Hall, and then the South Hall upper level is what I have highlighted here so far. The South Hall, like I just mentioned, has a bottom story and then a top story as well, and then you have the Central Hall. This is where most of your retailers, developers, your brokers, and your financial institutions will be. You want to spend a lot of time here. Most of your retailers will be located, at least in years past, have been located in the South Hall. But a lot of retailers this year are going to be located in the North Hall as well. You can see the North Hall. It's down here on the left of this map here. This is where our booth will be. For those of you that are part of the Retail Coach booth, our booth number is N2028U. And you can see on the screen here where the blue R is. That is where our booth is located. You can see the map at the top here pointing towards Central Hall. You'll just enter directly through that entrance there, and you'll see the Retail Coach booth. be prepared. There's a lot of walking that goes on. One day I was out there going between meetings. This is a couple of years ago. I had a pedometer with me and just kind of tracked how many steps I took and how far I went. And one day I'd walked 5 miles, just going back and forth between halls. So be prepared, wear comfortable shoes. Retail coach booth, and you can kind of see it in the background of this slide here. We're having a large booth just like we did last year. It's a 40 by 40 booth in a highly visible area. I mentioned this, but there's a lot of retailers that are going to be located around our booth this year, which is exciting for those of you that are attending. Your space that's part of our booth includes a table, 4 chairs. It has a community branded banner stand. So those banners, and then we'll have 8 brochure holders as well. You'll have a table graphic or a sticker that's added to a table with your logo on it. And then we've got storage space and charging stations available as well. We will have a booth greeter there that's there at all times. That'll be greeting at the front. We will have team members that are focused on you as a community throughout the entire conference. We'll give you our cell numbers, and we'll be there, as long as the show is open, and many times well after the show is open and before it opens. But having these team members assigned to your booth and assigned to you lets you get out and go visit all areas of RECON. Do not come into this conference and just expect to sit at your booth. I will tell you where you're going to get where you're going to have the most success is getting out there and going to talk to retailers, walking up to booths, giving that short pitch on your community. Last couple things, we're going to have beverages available throughout the day. We'll have late afternoon happy hours with beer, wine, and light snacks on both Monday and Tuesday. Couple other things that come with being a participant in the Retail Coach booth. The option of requesting 1 staff badge. I think we've already got that figured out between all of you. What I want to point out to you is that badge that you get as part of this just allows you access to the trade show area. If you want to visit other areas, if you want to visit if you want to go to functions, or you want to go to meetings and presentations that ICSC is putting on, you will need to purchase the full program registration. So just wanted to mention that. So we'll start off with we mentioned we have 14 tips here, but number 1 is set realistic goals. I mentioned this in preceding this slide, but go out there not looking to make deals, but going out there looking to make connections. You want to meet people and make connections. I met people there the first year I was there, which is about 10 years ago, and I still talk and I still meet with those same people that I met 10 years ago, and we've done deals since then. So, attend all social functions. I know on Sunday night ICSC hosts a reception. I believe it's at the Wynn. We'll need to check on that location for you. But attend all social functions. A lot of these retailers, a lot of these developers will host socials or evening after parties and those sort of things. Make sure you attend those. That's when sometimes when you get some of the best one-on-one conversations with some of these retailers, brokers, and developers are during those events. If you can, attend some of the educational seminars. I took a look through the agenda, and there's some great workshops, especially those of you that are maybe new to retail. There's a couple of workshops on what happens in a development. What are the phases of a development? What is the process site selectors look at? So I'd recommend attending some of those. And then here's one of the keys, and I want to mention this. Managing expectations is the key. Make sure and manage the expectations of your council, but also your board, if they're attending with you, that what we talked about, having realistic goals, not looking to make a deal out there, but looking to make connections. That needs to be the key. The second tip we have is preparation. Know your market. Be prepared if you get a question on, who's located at the northeast corner of Main and 6th Street. Make sure you know that, or at least have a map showing you who is there. Make sure you have your community demographic profile. Make sure you have that retail trade area demographic profile. Make sure you know what primary retailers are located where, who's in your community. Make sure you have an understanding of the vacancies. What properties are available. That's the first question you're going to get asked when you're meeting with retailers and developers is, okay, well, we like your community, but where do we go? So make sure you have that. Know what planned developments are planned to happen, whether that's new residential growth or that's new retail developments that are planned. Pay close attention to that as well. Strengths and weaknesses over your competing communities. What sets you apart from your competing communities. Just be ready to sell those. You're going to have about 3 minutes or less. And you've got to convince these retailers or developers that there's an opportunity in your community. As far as the marketing pieces go, those sort of things, we are, as all of you know, we are putting together, in many cases, have already finished what we call retail market profiles. And these are really front and back flyers that we're putting together for you, but we'll talk about that more as we move forward. So marketing materials, if you have an iPad, I would really stress bringing the iPad with you. Being able to pull up a property on an iPad or being able to pull up a map on an iPad is really key. Also being able to send information. We like to say keep it simple when you're meeting with these retailers. You don't want to put together a binder of information to hand out to them. What you want to do is you want to have a binder of information to flip through, and then you can email that information directly to them. Just to stay front and at the front of their mind is key. If you have an aerial photograph of your community, have that map with you. If not, you'll have the iPad where you can look that up via Google or some other mapping service. But we are putting together, as I mentioned, marketing materials, the retail market profile flyers, and we'll get with you a little bit closer to the show on getting those printed and how that needs to take place. Mentioned this already, so we're going to flip through this slide, but if you can, bring an iPad if you have one available to you. Mentioned this already, I'm getting ahead of myself, but tip number 4 was that one-page community marketing profile. For each of the communities that are attending with their retail coach, we have developed these for you, and if you haven't received the 2016 data yet, that means we're finishing it up right now. We'll have that available to you here shortly. The thing here is getting your marketing materials to RECON. You're going to want to bring these flyers that we're talking about with you. You have the ability to ship them in advance to the retail coach team at our booth, so they're there when you get there. This will allow you to arrive at the convention center when the leasing mall opens at May 23rd at 8 a.m. So they will be there ready for you if you send them ahead of time. If you want to ship your materials in advance, Suzanne Brooke, which is on this call, she will be able to help with assistance. I know many of you have received and are talking back and forth with Suzanne right now. So depending on when the date of shipping and receiving, when this stuff is going out, there's different ICSC labels. So if you have questions about that, please get with Suzanne. The 5th tip we have is to really know your approach and really talk about strategy here. You want to structure your day. You want to attend the workshops early and then visit the leasing mall, which is the South Hall and the Central Hall and also the North Hall. But target and meet with retailers that fit your community. I stress this because I see a lot of communities, maybe you're a town of 2,000 and you don't have a major freeway running through your community. Well, Bass Pro Shops is probably not a fit. So I wouldn't waste my time. I wouldn't waste your time waiting to meet with Bass Pro Shops. Instead, I'd focus on those retailers that are looking for those communities. The first thing you want to do is you want to be able to sell your site. You want to be able to sell that retail trade area first, and then sell the site. So sell your trade area, sell your community first, and then sell the site. That's key moving forward. Where we are helping you, those of you that are part of the booth, is we've identified 10 retailers and restaurant attendees that are a good fit for your community. We're working on contact information for each prospect. We'll get that to you, but then we're making attempts to contact and secure appointments, which we've already had some success with in the last week or two. So we'll continue to keep you up to date on meetings and those sort of things, but we'll also provide the contact information to these retailers and these restaurants, so you know who to talk to. Many times you might not be able to get a meeting set up ahead of time, but most of these retailers.
Hey everybody, this is TJ with the Retail Coach. I'm the operations director here. If y'all give us just a second, we're gonna get Aaron back. It seems like for some reason he cut out, so y'all hold on just a minute.
Hi, this is Suzanne. Aaron mentioned that I was on the call, and while we're waiting to get Aaron back up, I thought I might let you know about the shipping dates. Your materials, if they are ready between April 11th, which was yesterday, and May 11th, you can ship them on out direct. And we've got labels and everything to help you get it to where it goes. It's a massive place, so it's key to make sure it goes to exactly the right place at exactly the right time. And then it will be in the booth. And if the materials are there in the booth, we'll go ahead and get your area set up for you. Speaking of our booth, while we wait to get Aaron up, a part of this strategy that's really important is targeting in advance who are going to be good fits for your community. And as Aaron mentioned, that's what we're working hard to do for you right now by identifying the 10 retailers and restaurants that would be a good fit and reaching out to them in advance to make connection. But equally important are brokers who are active in your areas, because they're actually the gatekeepers for retailers. A site selector is going to have some key partners in each region, and if you connect with them, they'll kind of be a partner with you in making connections with the right retailers.
Hey there.
And this is Aaron, and I'm back on the call.
Okay, good deal. There we go.
We're going to bring the screen back up for everybody real quick.
Yeah, and Aaron, I just left off about how important it is to connect with the retail brokers in your market, because they're so often, you know, kind of the gatekeeper to those site selectors. So you can
Absolutely.
take it back here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so true, Suzanne. Don't just focus on retailers and restaurants. Focus on their brokers as well, because just like Suzanne mentioned, these are the gatekeepers a lot of times. You know, tip number 7 is targeting, and really target those retailers that will fill an identified category gap, as well as vacant space, land, and pad sites in your community. So for each of the communities on the call here, we put together that gap analysis, or what we also call that leakage or opportunity analysis. And what we need to focus on is those retailers that fit your community, that fit a gap or fit a need in your community, and being able to match them up with vacant space. I mentioned this already, but those retailers that you're reaching out to, make sure, let's say, for example, if you're going after Whataburger and you'd like to get a Whataburger in your community, well, knowing that they're requiring 1 acre of space, or maybe a little bit more than 1 acre of space, come prepared to the conference with 3 or 4 1-acre spaces available for them. Great example is In-N-Out Burger. We've got In-N-Out Burger pulled up on the screen here. Each of these retailers have their own, what we call, customer profile. So for example, In-N-Out Burger, they require 50,000 in traffic at a site. They require a 60,000 plus population in the trade area. They look for median incomes of 45,000. So make sure you're going after retailers that are a fit, and then also know where their closest units are located. Store spacing is a big part of retail site selection. So make sure you know what spaces are available, what sites are available, and what each of these retailers require. You want to go after those retailers that fit your community. Continuing to talk about targeting, we've identified and will continue to identify the corporate site selector or broker that covers your area for a specific retailer. But you can also search and go online right now to see who's attending for each of these retailers. So you can go. We've got the link up on the screen here. But if you just go to icse.org/2016 RECON, the full list of attendees and exhibitors is there, so you can go ahead and plan your trip accordingly. You want to have an elevator pitch, a 3 to 5 minute pitch on your community. A good example, we've kind of got an example on the screen here, I'll just mention it, but our community serves a regional trade area of approximately 95,000. Our primary trade area is anchored by Walmart, Supercenter, Kohl's, Hobby Lobby, etc. But there's still an $8.5 million leakage or unmet demand in the community. I feel we would be a great fit for Chili's. Your closest unit is 25 miles away in Madison. Can I have 10 minutes of your time to show you your community and the site? So you want to have a quick pitch. You want to be really precise in what you're sharing with them because you want to get their attention. You want them to go from there. Tip number 11 continues with targeting, but create a hit list of retailers and brokers who represent certain retailers. So go ahead and start a list and try to hit all of those retailers, whether it's through a scheduled meeting, whether it's whether you meet them at a reception. Have a target list that you want to focus on. You might not get to all of them, but if we can hit most of the retailers, that's going to be the key. Because at the end of the day, following up is going to be key to this process. We'll talk about that further. So I want to share this. So Monday and Tuesday of the conference are full days, but Wednesday is only from 8 to noon, or I think actually it's from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is the most productive time for leasing mall drop-ins. So if you've tried on Monday and Tuesday to get a meeting with a retailer, you've been unsuccessful, you've tried to walk up to their booth and talk to them, but you haven't had success, Wednesday is the time to do it. Really between 8 and noon, but 8 to 2 I think is when the show is open, but 8 to noon is that most productive time on Wednesday. So make sure you're sticking around for that part of the conference. Now here, the tip number 13 really deals with post-recon, and I mentioned this a slide or two back, but follow-up is critical. I like to say this is probably the most important part of the entire recon conference is really following up with retailers. If you met with a retailer, whether it was planned or drop-in, email a short thank you note on the same day. Whether it's a thank you note or whether it's via regular mail or email, make sure you're following up the same day. That is going to be key. And then if it's applicable, if they ask for it, have that site information ready. If it's a retailer and they're wanting a 3-acre site, well, as soon as possible, have the 3-acre sites that are available in their inbox so that it's top of their mind, it's fresh on their mind as they're moving forward. So we'll stress that again, follow up. And then the last tip we have is also, post-recon related, but name recognition is important. Keep your name in the community in front of retailers at all times. Reputation is key in a lot of things, but especially as far as marketing goes. Make sure as you go into this, retailers might not be interested now, but they could be interested in 6 months or a year. So continue to really focus on, like I said, you're making connections. You're meeting retailers. Maybe this year is not the year. Maybe maybe RECON is not the time, but 6 months from now, they might contact you. I can't tell you how many times we've seen that happen. So you want to continue to stay in front of these retailers. Name recognition is key. You might meet with a retailer today and then not see them again, but 3 years down the road at ICSC RECON, you see them and they're ready to do a deal. So the key here is to be persistent but not pesky. Realize that retail can be a slow process, but as long as you're methodical, as long as you're staying in front of these retailers, it works. So the next steps, complete your travel arrangements. I know most of you have, but if you have not, complete your travel arrangements. Choose your conference registration preference. Most of you have gotten with Suzanne on that. But if you have any questions on any of those, just reach out to us. Number 4, prepare the retail market profile. We're in the process of doing that for you with the 2016 demographics. We'll be sending that over shortly if you're one of those communities that have not received that yet. And then identify those prospects in retailer restaurants. We are doing that, but also go to the ICSC website for yourself. Look at who's attending. Go ahead and look at the layout of the exhibit hall. Go ahead, even though we're a little over a month out, start planning for this process because, once again, I can't stress to you how important ICSC RECON is. And that's really the end of the webinar today. If you have any questions on the webinar, you can feel free to reach out to myself, Aaron Farmer. You can reach out with any questions to info@theretailcoach.net, and then we will be following up with each of the communities individually. But hopefully this helps you, especially for the first timers, really understand what ICSC RECON is about. It's the largest retail real estate conference in the world, and you will have the chance to get in front of retailers, restaurants, and developers. But I'll stress again, the key is to be prepared. Manage expectations with your board and your council members that are attending as well. But this is going to be fun. We're excited about your participation with the Retail Coach. We're excited about this conference. I'm hearing that this ICSC conference is going to be one of the most or best attended in years. So really, really excited about this. So once again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Aaron Farmer, reach out to Suzanne Brook, which has been talking with most of you, or feel free to email us at info@theretailcoach.net. So once again, thanks for joining us today. If there's any follow-up questions, let us know, and we will talk to all of you soon, and we'll see you in Vegas. Thank you.